Well, Mucky with the Exiles, I hope you're well. In this short video, which sits alongside our instructionals that we're doing at the moment, I'm answering some questions, okay? I'm answering questions that people have put forward after I've asked for feedback, and I'm trying to sort of collect up the kind of individual questions that can't quite fit into the instructionals. So we had a question around Master Battle, and this is something we talk about a lot, and I always allude to a video coming about Master Battle in terms of Fiore's Master Battle and what phase and stage of the fight that actually is. It's been really difficult to summarise and quantify Master Battle in a video that doesn't take 2 or 3 hours. So we are working on it, and we will produce a video with a lot more detail around Master Battle. For the moment though, it's important to give Master Battle in our world a little bit of context, and that's why I'm doing this this video. I'm not going to give a completely exhaustive answer to this, mostly because we still want people to come and train with us and understand it from our perspective in person. But also because, as I say, quantifying it, especially during the lockdown without a partner, is going to be very difficult. But I do appreciate that we say it a lot, and a little bit of context is important. So how do you get to understanding what Master Battle is? Well, this is going to sound like a sort of douchebag statement, but it takes a lot of time. I always say that when people are looking at Fiore, they rush to remedy, okay? They rush to the plays and the techniques, and they may go through those plays and have a system for remembering them and pressure test them and so on and so forth. Master Battle becomes really important when you start looking at the fight, okay? How a fight manifests itself and unfolds, okay? I have done a previous video, which I will throw in the pop-out banner above, around the 4 stages of Fiore's fight, where I talk about Master Battle and I talk about Remedy, which is the entry into the plays and the plays themselves. I talk about Contrary and so on and so forth, the 4 stages of Fiore's fight. It's quite a long video and it's just me talking, but if you want more detail, it was in that pop-out banner. For the moment, and for the purposes of this, I will just pick up a few bits and pieces and try and then with the weapon and some weapons, I'll give you a bit of a flavour as to where we're coming from with Master Battle and how that fits into the sort of content that we're producing and why we refer to it quite a lot. So the first mention really of Master Battle in the manuscript is where Fiore says about the poster, okay, or the poster with an E, plural. And he talks about the guards, okay? And that is probably best described in the Getty manuscript, and this is our reproduction of that here, okay? He talks about the poster, and that's where he mentions it first, so that's what I'll cover first, okay? So, we will do a video on the differences with Sword in Two Hands, the differences between the guards and the poster, because in that section of the manuscript, they're broken out as separate. It's important to note though that Fiore mixes the word guard, poster, it's kind of an interchangeable series of terms, okay, and try and extrapolate the kind of differences between the two is quite difficult, but we will cover that in another video. In terms of poster, which is the first time he references Master Battle, when he talks about the poster, he talks about positioning your opponent, okay, and that's what the poster are for. And again, we've talked about this in previous videos, and if you look on the channel, there's videos about the poster and what they're for and why they're so important, okay? A poster is not just a position to wait in, okay? It's a functional position. I am trying to force my opponent into a position to attack me where their actions are predictable, okay? And basically, it's like playing chess, okay? So I'm not just stood in, for example, Dented and Galway, waiting for them just to randomly swing at me. I'm trying to use this poster, what I can do from this poster and the threat of this poster to position my opponent into a certain place, okay? And it's important to explore this while we're talking about Master Battle. For example, and I've chose Dented and Galway, so that's what I'll stick with, okay? So Dented and Galway, okay, I'm basically saying I'm gonna thrust at you, okay? So if my opponent knows what they're doing, they should reasonably expect me to be thrusting from that position, okay? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use this poster to force them into a position where they're going to have to try and deal with the threat of my action, okay? By doing that, I'm hoping, although this is obviously a fluid situation, I'm hoping that they're going to go onto the left side of their body and high, okay, to cover off against the threat of my thrust. If they don't, I'll deal with it. I'll move posture, I'll throw out a thrust, see what my opponent's all about. That is the fight unfolding, okay? As opposed to, for example, Coda Longa, okay? These are my two favourite posture, Coda Longa, okay? With this posture, and the description is in the manuscript, this posture is about, it is very useful for closing, okay? And I can break thrusts with it, and I can make covers with it. With a position like this, as I'm moving around, I'm basically inviting an attack, okay? So I want my opponent to drift up somewhere central, okay? To try and exploit the opening that I'm giving them, okay? And with a bit of luck, you watching me do this coda longa posture, you can see that the temptation is for you to bring your weapon up and to thrust, or to start high like this and to basically cut down, taking advantage of this massive gap here. It's important to understand how the posture are used and what you can do from them in the context of Master Battle. Because Master Battle is everything that happens before a technique, before a play. So the posture are a really key part of that, okay? They're not just actions to look pretty in, they are functional positions, as I've said. There are certain predetermined actions from those posture, and obviously given the position and the different positions of them, they have strengths and weaknesses. And we're also given extra advice with things like stabile, instabile and pulsativa, which tell us how you use those posture, along with the descriptions of some of the actions from them, okay? So what I'm trying to say is, and I'm trying to give a lot of context because I appreciate people want that context, or and hopefully you do as you're watching. What I'm trying to say is that posture are a massive part of Master Battle, okay? Because this is what I'm going to be doing before we start swinging at each other, okay? And before I start entering into remedy, technique, okay? So posture is super key. So posture positioning my opponent as opposed to the guards, okay? And this is kind of limited to the two-handed, where guards, there's 6 of them, they're split out separately. The guards in the manuscript are purely for waiting, okay? They are for waiting for a set action from your opponent, okay? And that's the reason why he often says, you take up this guard if they have this weapon, or you take up this guard if they're going to throw it at you, and so on and so forth. It's very specific. The guards, you literally take them up and you wait in them, okay? For example, this is a guard. There's multiple variations of posture donna, and this is one of them. Okay, now when we're sparring, we take up this position and we try and use it like the posture, which is here, okay? The posture is like this because, again, I'm trying to force my opponent to do something that's predictable, as opposed to here, where, and quite often we do it front weighted as well, people start like this because it's, it's quick, you can do quick actions from there. But by taking up this guard and trying to use it like the posture, and this is probably a whole other video in itself, we are not being true to the principle of Master Battle. Now, quite often we do this because we've got fencing masks on or head protection on, and this is a very uncomfortable position in modern gear, or actually is in period gear as well. But when you start to understand Master Battle, and certainly in the context of posture and guards and the differences between them, you're actually exploring a massive kind of section and a hugely important series of principles within the system. Okay, as I say, we'll do another video, posture versus guards, and we'll go through them and I'll explain some of those differences. So that's element number 1 of Master Battle, okay? It's my positioning of my body. The next element of Master Battle is my movement, okay? Not just with the weapon, but with my feet and body as well. An important part of that is obviously the segno, where Fiore's given me advice on how to act, okay? And movement in this instance is covered by, for example, the elephant at the base of the segno. I'll throw that up on the screen, where he is showing the elephant for a very, very important set of reasons. And again, we've done a video on the segno previously. But movement, okay? So anytime I'm moving, footwork, yeah, that's all Master Battle. So my stable turns, yeah, my mezza voltas, my creases, my decreases, my cutter voltas, all of that movement is all part of Master Battle. And again, think about how the fight is going to unfold, okay? A judicial tourney, for example, where we're both prepared for the fight, there's going to be, even if it's a brief moment, it probably won't be because people don't want to put themselves at a lot of risk, but even if it's a brief moment, there is going to be a portion of that fight where I'm just moving around, okay? And I'm swapping posture and I'm trying to position my opponent. All of that is Master Battle. That movement, that appreciation of distance, all Master Battle, okay? The next element we have is the actions with my weapon, my colpi, okay? My 7 blows, my 6 cuts and my thrusting, okay? That is all master battle. Again, this is going somewhere, so bear with me. But I've got my movement, yeah. I've got my posture, okay, and I've got now my culpy. So my cuts, my thrusts, and so on and so forth, all master battle, because all of this is happening before we get to a technique, okay? So, how I cut, how I move, my appreciation of distance, my guards, my posture, all of that is master battle, because that's all the stuff that's I'm going to need to really get on top of to be competent. Where is all this going? So, the important thing about putting together, and there's more, but putting together all of the master battle principles is the fact that I only need a technique if one is available, okay? And this is a mindset that a lot of us get into when we think about sparring. So, if I can use posture, use movement, use my culpy, okay, my attacks, if I can use all of those together well, finding gaps in my opponent, attacking open lines, I should be able to dispatch my opponent with just those, okay? With just my footwork, my posture, my actions, okay? For example, this is a favourite one of mine against people who are newer, a lot less experienced, is if someone takes up a posture on the left side of their body, so I'll be that person, let's say they come into a fenestra on the left, like this, okay? I will quite often come offline with my own fendente right at the edge of distance, basically targeting the right side of their body. So I will target this shoulder, possibly the head, as I come offline that way. The reason why I do that, and this is all using master battle principle, the reason why I do that is because I want to assess how good they are, okay? And I want to see if I can take them out just with cuts and movement alone. So I will do that. I will cut the opponent to that shoulder, okay? Or to the arm, or to the head. And that's generally an open action of mine, and it tells me a lot about my opponent. If I hit them, well then I don't need technique, I don't need plays. I've taken them out in the master battle master battle portion of the fight, okay? And that's kind of what I'm getting to here with all of this. The other important thing, and I will do the next video after this will be about something, will be about beats, breaks and covers, okay? I'll explain more in the video, but the bridge between master battle and remedy is doing either a beating action, a breaking action, or a cover action, okay? And I'll cover that in the second video. But let's just quickly mention about that link. So I've got my master battle, my movement, my cuts and all the rest of it, okay? How do I then enter into the remedy portion? Well, they are either going to attack me or I'm going to attack them, okay? The example we use is a good one, so I might throw in my own big fendente. So I've come from master battle into distance now, okay? Several things are going to happen from here. I'm going to hit them, great, fight's over, you know, I've won, job done, okay? And that has all been done from master battle. Probably what's going to happen is they're going to defend, okay? The second they make that defense, okay, I'm no longer in master battle, okay? What will happen from there is a play, okay? So I will cut in, they will make a cover, and from there I have a play, and that play can be whatever is open to me from the manuscript, okay? And I should have trained that enough to instantly recognize my options and to apply an appropriate play or series of plays, which is the advice Fiore gives us, okay? So I've cut in, they've made a cover or an action, you know, and from there on in, once the plays become available and I start accessing those plays, I'm then into the remedy phase of my fight, okay? That being said, whenever we cut at our opponent or they cut at us, we will generally find ourselves in the position to either do a cover, a beat or a break, or my opponent will do a cover, a beat or a break, okay? And that's why those principles are something we train quite a lot. We do that a lot with one-handed sword. If we are both cutting at each other and both moving, and this is where I made the reference to sparring, then we are basically operating entirely in master battle. So if I'm sparring and I'm cutting and, you know, maybe I'll make a cover and whatever, all of that is master battle, okay? Because we haven't accessed any plays yet, all right? And One of the challenges of being a modern practitioner of a historical art like this is that there's loads of context missing. There's loads of stuff we can't do that they were doing, yeah? And we can't obviously test our system in the same way that they could, okay? In the barriers, or, you know, where they've got sharps and so on and so forth. And again, I talk about this quite a lot. But it's important because for most sparring and most modern tournaments, HEMA tournaments, longsword tournaments, people are stuck at Master Battle. Okay, there's lots of reasons for that, and I'm not going to go into that today, but effectively you may get the odd play. Okay, you may get someone cover, perhaps they'll take a hit but they'll deem it to not be a particular severe one. You might get the occasional disarm, you know, you might get the occasional play in there, but effectively modern sparring is kind of stuck at Master Battle. So it is super important to understand, because once you start nailing, you know, extrapolating from Fiore's works what that Master Battle should look like, you actually start to really build a very solid foundation for layering the rest of the system on top, which is the remedy and so on and so forth. Hopefully you can see, with me doing all of this talking and throwing all these bits in, why it's so difficult to put together a really comprehensive and cohesive video about Master Battle, because the topic itself is absolutely massive, and the only way we can deal with teaching people Master Battle is to ingrain it in as the student is basically developing. Okay, so we'll cover, for example, beats, breaks and covers right at the beginning. Okay, pretty much any technique you're going to do with a sword in your hand is going to come, from this system at least, from either a beat, a break or a cover. Okay, so we start that right away, and we basically have to layer them. And this takes years, yeah, to go from our level 1 to level 4 in our curriculum out of 7 levels can take someone 10 or 12 years. So we have to layer in Master Battle all the way through, and at the moment, certainly with lockdown, pre-lockdown, where we had to train with sort of social distancing, a lot of our classes were just focusing purely on Master Battle. So, for example, how to move well, how to cut well, how to cut at 1 and then how to cut at 2, a lot of footwork, a lot of distance management, things like that. This is not a wasted effort. All of that time this year that a lot of our students and a lot of our clubs have been doing, looking purely at Master Battle because of social distancing, will absolutely pay dividends. Because that's how I learned. For example, it was, my instructor was my dad, so I lived with him, so it was a lot of practice, a lot of cutting drills, a lot of movement, a lot of footwork for years. And then we drilled the plays a lot for years, over and over again, from different positions, and that's where you start to build the appreciation of the phases of the fight. Okay, so quite a rushed video. I'm sorry if I've just done a lot of talking. Like I said, this can't be exhaustive because I'm pretty sure you don't want to sit through a very, very long video, but at least I'm trying to give you that context when we say Master Battle, in not just me but other guys doing videos as well. When we talk about Master Battle, hopefully this gives you a little bit of an insight into what we actually mean. And again, to go full circle, we don't necessarily want to say everything on camera because it is a long period of time to really pick it up, and ultimately we want people to come and learn in person, since we are in the business of running a martial arts club. So thanks for your time. I'm sorry if it was a bit rushed, but stay safe, stay well, and the next video will be on beats, breaks and covers. Thank you.